The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now, 865-243-TALK. That's 243-8255. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
You are listening. Well, right now, you're listening to Alter Bridge. But you are also listening to the fastest growing radio show here on the fastest growing radio network. That radio show being the Patrick Riggins Show. The radio network being the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. Combined together, we make an unbeatable team of logic and reason in a sea of, frankly, irrational and emotional thinking. But don't worry, even with wave after wave of ignorance, the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network is always on, always providing a beacon back to the safety of true and original American thinking. Helping to spread our message of freedom and liberty far and wide is the radio station known as our flagship. The flag bearer, if you will, for the Patrick Riggins Show. It is none other than 100.3 WNOX here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yes, but you don't have to be within our coverage area to listen to this show. No way. We are also on internet broadcasting live. Just bring up your web browser and type in www.wnoxfm.com. There you can watch and listen to this show via the live in-studio webcam. That address again, in case you missed it, is wnoxfm.com. Kind of works out good that way. Call letters, frequencymodulation.com. Before we get going with the show, we always like to say hello to our show producer, Tori, who is working hard all day here at WNOX, making sure the radio shows get out reasonably.
It is my job to make you sound pretty.
Yes, not your job to make me look pretty. That comes naturally.
I would have to be paid a lot more.
Yeah. I'll walk in looking this good. Yes, that's not Brad Pitt behind the microphone. I know you bring up the web browser and you think that.
I think it's Brad Pitt.
But it's not. It's me, Patrick Riggins. Frequently get confused.
Actually, I get more Ted Nugent than anything. But.
Yes. Yes, they could mistake you for Ted Nugent.
Or Jesus. That's with the full beard.
But he's not been around on the earth for a while, so... Jesus, not Ted Nugent.
That's what I was wondering.
Ted Nugent's still here.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. So much going on this week. You know, I just want to maybe just not even do the show today because I'm worried about the whole sequester. Will we have money? And that's just so sitting. George talked about that last hour. It's just got me scared to death now.
All right, let's just go home then. All right, that's it.
There we go.
I've always wanted to do that. Yeah. Just pull down all the faders in the middle of a show. That was fun. Thank you.
That's when you're going. Turn off Mr. Riggins' microphone.
Bucket list. That one taken care of.
That one's down. All right. Thank you for tuning in again this week. We get more and more listeners each week, and it's you guys and gals who are making this show one of the fastest growing of its kind. As I've mentioned, this is where you get the cold logic and reason. And you may ask why, and that's because it's the only way to make consistent and correct decisions. If you look around and pay attention, you'll see an alarming number of people who base their decisions on their emotions, how they feel about something, which is truly an ignorant way to decide things. And most of these people end up regretting those decisions that they make in haste and with emotion. That's why you see more and more politicians making these arguments in emotional terms, what you're seeing this week. These people frame these arguments emotionally because the solutions aren't logical. They don't hold water. So they make the argument from an emotional standpoint. They do this because that argument isn't valid. That's why we don't have people laying out issues from a reasonable point of view, because that isn't what sells anymore. It is clearly a product of our upbringing over the past few years. People used to say, hey, I see your point, but here's why it wouldn't work. Here's why you're wasting your time. But now we're taught that every idea is worth something, even those that are clearly wrong. So instead of teaching little Johnny why his idea won't work, showing him from a logical point of view and letting him learn, we congratulate him on his effort and tell him, even if it's wrong, even if he lost, he deserves recognition and a medal. Then we wonder why these people get out into life, and when they don't receive this sort of hand-holding, we wonder why they cannot cope. Do you ever wonder why we have so many people on medications today? These things aren't good for you. They don't make life easier. They just knock people out, deaden them to the world, keep them home and quiet until they either die or kill themselves. Whatever they do, at least they stayed out of the government's way. I guess that's all that really matters. Or people get so frustrated that they give up. Either way, you lose in the long run, because the people wanting to run your life, they never give up trying. Have you ever noticed how politicians will keep introducing unconstitutional legislation over and over? Every session is the same thing. It's because they know if they keep at it, eventually they'll get it through, or a significant portion of it, either on its own or included in another piece of legislation. That's why we have to remain vigilant about fighting, because they aren't going to give up, and neither should we. This is why I constantly remind you to write your congressional representatives, your local leaders, anyone and everyone in an elected position. We don't want them to forget that we are the ones who hired them, and we are the ones who can fire them. Lately, government has started getting arrogant, starting to think it can do whatever it wants, and to a large extent it can. This is what we need to rein in. This is why we need to work to get libertarian, or at least, very conservative people into our elected offices. All right, we're up on the first break of the Patrick Riggin Show. We have a full show. We're going to get to that guns and ammo story I had last week that I didn't get to. I really want to get to that. Got some other stuff as far as holding our leaders responsible, our politicians, I won't call them leaders, our politicians responsible, and a bunch of other stuff here this hour on Where Else? The Patrick Riggin Show.